being 7 o'clock, I'd ask you to rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Lynn, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Polshansky?
Here.
Mrs. Vanderwater? Here. Ms. Wozniak here. Mr. Tupper?
Here.
Mr. Dzinski?
Here.
Ms. Saban?
Here. Thankfully. I feel like I've been gone for ages, unfortunately. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the July 6th meeting?
I'll second that.
Any changes, corrections, additions? Seeing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I am too, because I wasn't here, so. Motion carried. All right, moving on to number 1. I'd like to get an approval of the Onondaga County Planning Board and legislative agreement with the town of Van Buren. This document comes from the Onondaga County Planning Board. It is meant to streamline the process for certain areas that the town deals with, basically area variances for residential homes, subdivisions that create 3 parcels or less, and for special permits for certain items. The Planning Board Chair has wholeheartedly asked that this be approved. So can I get a motion to approve the resolution or the legislative agreement and authorize the supervisor to sign?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Any other questions?
It's been years in the making.
Yes, absolutely.
And when Tony didn't have this opportunity, it would tie people up. It would take a month, 6 weeks. Now we can streamline it right down and get people through the process and
And
get it
sometimes
happening
we have
much
to
quicker.
override the county's objections.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's painful.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 2, review and authorize a resolution requesting a speed limit reduction on Warner's Road. I received a call from a resident down there. He provided us a petition with 25 names on it, asking for a speed limit reduction on Warner's Road between East Sorrel and West Sorrel Hill Roads. He's asking that, the petitioners are asking to have the speed limit reduced from 50 to 35 miles an hour, beginning after West Sorrel Hill Road, heading west. So the process with this is that if the board approves the resolution, we send it down to the county gets with the state, they make the determination whether or not this will be approved, and they would make the determination as to what the speed limit would be. Can I get a motion to approve?
We'll make the motion.
Any other comments?
Yeah, if we had a police force, we could do it ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean.
I'm the one that filed the petition.
Mr. Castle?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we hope this goes forward for you down there. We understand.
There's a blind spot right past where it says 50 miles an hour. You can hide a semi-truck in there. And I can sit, my driveway is 20 feet past that on the left, heading west. I'll go to pull into my driveway. I've had people curse me out. Actually, some got around me without going into the ditch, but there's been 3 people in the ditch across the street in the past month. People will go, it's double yellow line, and people pass. And all the people that have signed on that petition, they all had something to say. It's Thruway North down there.
Right.
It's insane. Someone's going to die.
Right. And Nadine, you said that we should make this resolution also noting that there will be substantial traffic on this road due to the Warner's Bridge construction next year as well.
I would recommend it. It only helps in your request or plea to the county to reconsider.
Okay.
And I believe you were also considering making an acknowledgement that, that residents have suggested a uniform speed limit through, for the purposes of consistency.
Great, thank you, Highway Superintendent.
You did a great job on this petition too. You did a great job on this petition, getting the signatures like you did.
Thank you.
I would actually like to sign that before you.
Sure.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Doug, I'll
Thank
get
you
this
all
out.
very much.
I don't know when we'll hear back, but
I know that's going to take time.
sooner the better.
It
I've
probably
tried
will take,
before and it hasn't gone through.
yeah, it'll probably take at least 2 to 3 months. By the time it goes to the county, if the county gets with the state, they do what they have to do, so.
Thank you all very much.
And you will get back to him. Mary Frances will get back to you.
Thank you. Appreciate your work. That's all I need.
Number 3, approve the engineer to put out to bid the Connors Road Bridge replacement per the specifications received from Barton and LaJudas. I gave you a copy of basically most of it. I didn't give you all the maps and whatnot, but Barton and LaJudas will get with Jason and tell him when they need to go out to do this bidding, but we need to give Jason the authorization to go out and approve this.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4 is to approve the budget transfer for 2021 as per the comptroller, and to approve the budget transfer, the budget amendments, adjustments for 2021, and budget adjustments and amendments for 2022 as per the comptroller's memo. Can I get a motion to that?
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Jenny, did you second?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Let's hope we don't need much more chlorine.
This will take us, it's projected to take us through the end of the year. Yeah.
So it's basically net zero.
Right.
Let's hope it is,
For
yeah.
now.
Yeah. They are, because the number of people using the pool, the amount of heat, they're going through a ton of chlorine. Okay, moving on to number 5, approve the assessor's attendance at the New York State Assessors Association Conference in September so that she can earn the required continuing education credits. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So much of it.
Well, this is all budgeted and everything, these
Yeah.
courses that she's taking.
Yeah, so she moved it, are you seconding it?
I'll second it.
Okay. As Ron said, yes, she has to have certain continuing education credits. She didn't get any the last 2 years, so she has to make up for last year and for this year.
And
This
any
is
costs are shared with Lysander.
Senior, yes.
Do we know how often she goes to these conferences?
She's going to 2 this year, so she should not have to go, but to only 1 next year. But again, because we do share the assessor, Orb's Office of Property, Real Property pays for part of the conference, and then it's split, the other finances are split between ourselves and Lysander.
Can I just ask a silly question? On her, the hotel reservation form, is there any particular reason she opted for the grant selection versus the standards section? I mean, it's over $100 difference.
$30 different?
No, $120 difference.
Okay. I'm not seeing, we're $852 for single.
It's possible that was her only option. I don't.
I'll ask her about it.
Could you maybe request that she take the standard section instead of the grant section so we can, save those funds?
I was looking at premium. That's where I was $30 off.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah. All right, yes, I can certainly ask her to do that, if it's available, yeah.
Correct.
Okay. We had a motion, Lynn, and it was, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Did we already do that? I wasn't sure. That we had already done it, approved it?
No.
Just now, okay. All right. I have a penciled in number 6, which don't like to do, but this is to authorize.
Would you like me to read the vote resolution?
Sure.
Okay, we need to authorize the town, it would be for the town board to authorize the supervisor to execute an affidavit permitting encroachments into Old Highway and Connors Road right-of-ways, as illustrated on the survey prepared by Stephen Center, dated June 20, 2022, conditioned upon the affidavit specifically referencing Stephen Center's 6/22, June 20th, 2022 survey, and limiting further enlargement of the existing encroachments.
Okay.
That would be the motion.
You just wrote that just now?
It made it easier, I'll give it to,
Can I get a
I'll
motion
make a
to that effect?
I'll make a motion.
Seconded.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Nadine. Okay. Council committee reports, Brian?
No, nothing tonight.
Darcy?
So I was just gonna, we kind of talked about this a little bit in work session, but obviously we're in the summer season and water chestnuts are a big topic. So I went to a meeting with Onondaga County Soil and Water on Tuesday to kind of get an overview of what the plan is. What I'm really thrilled to share is that we've decided to, at the county level, put together a 5-year plan, because this is not something that you can do each year and expect to make a huge impact on. So we have dedicated $100,000 from the county towards this effort for the next 5 years, combined with some state funds, and after all is said and done, we'll be able to put nearly $1 million towards this program. And that way we should start to see the impact of the mats that we will basically be pushing back towards the shoreline again and make the waters traversable. So it's a huge project, and I just wanted to share a couple of stats from this meeting that were kind of interesting. So they have 25 river miles in Onondaga County to address, first of all. So far, they've taken out 192,000 pounds just from Cross Lake to Foray Path, which is not very far. Then they've removed total this season 234,201 pounds. And I have to, I mean, it's gonna be hard to see for those in the back, but like this effort is just impressive. Between the mechanical harvesting that they do and the hand pulling, I mean, they have pulled back, well, as I said, hundreds of thousands of pounds. I was trying to think, again, it's gonna be really hard to see, but this is this girl in this boat mounded over with these water chestnuts from hand pulling. And then they bring them in and they're using them actually as land cover in some of the farms locally. So Horgan has taken a bunch of pounds to lay out and till up into his fields. And it's just kind of an interesting project that obviously, you know, benefits those that use the waterways, but it's benefiting us all because it's being used as land cover. So I think you'll start to see a real impact on the Seneca River over the next few years now that we've made this a true 5-year plan. And I'm really excited. The partnerships are great. And if you're interested in participating, they're always looking for volunteers. And I'll talk to Lynn to put something on our website, but you just have to contact Soil and Water, and they can send you out with one of their crews and you can help do the hand pulling. So it's a pretty neat effort.
There are 2 companies doing the mechanical harvesting, and that's all that is in this area. So people can go ahead and contact the 2 companies as well if they want to hire them separately to do more pulling in their specific area. And she'll give you
The contact number.
contact information.
It would be nice if you could make pathways for people who live on the river, just to get in and out with your boat. You can't even move anymore.
Right,
In
but-
Bayville, or across from Cooper's Marina.
Right.
That whole area is just unbelievable. They plan on building brand new houses down there too, and I don't see how they can resell that for waterfront. You can't get in or out of that area right now.
Well, that's what the
because
county,
it's so-
that's what the county is trying to take and
Well,
handle.
they need to come through earlier in the season, like in June, and make pathways for people who live on the river.
Unfortunately, this year, they couldn't get started till mid-July because of the flood conditions. The contractor has been working round the clock, like I said, to the tune of being able to,
I know.
200,000 pounds.
You gotta buy your own machine. Actually, you can just pile them on top of each other. Just make pathways for the people who live on the river.
But-
They better get in and out.
But some of the people, if you have the ability, the county has said, please go ahead and try and hand pull some of them yourself, or try and contact.
What am I gonna do with them?
Well, that's why you would call Onondaga,
They're gonna come and pick them up?
soil.
I mean, if you worked with soil and water, they remove them. And like I said, that's where they're being reused for land cover and on farms.
I'm just bringing it up, but, you know, I live on the river. I can't get in and out with my boat. It's just impossible.
Right.
I broke an oar in front of Rosemary Bucci's.
It's ridiculous.
It got caught out
It's not just the
completely.
water chestnuts though. You got all the ground cover that's underneath them too.
Right.
And it's just, you can't even walk through it. You can't even.
But
move.
see, again, this is not, this should all be under public comments, please. So, okay? But again, we are trying to, we don't have in the town the ability to
I'm
handle
just
this.
bringing it up, but if you could bring it up to somebody.
Yeah, and again, this was a DEC matter to handle. The state turned it over to the county. And so now the county is trying to put together this environmental plan to try and handle this. But again, it's not just Onondaga County that has this problem, it's all the counties along the river, okay? Darcy, anything else?
That's it for me. Yep.
Wendy?
The only thing I want to say is welcome to Jenny Sullivan. I think you're going to be a great asset to the board. We're happy you're here, and best of luck.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, Howard?
I have nothing.
Jenny, we'll let you off the hook tonight.
Thank you.
Mike?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay. Doug?
Just two quick things. If the supervisor could hold off on that resolution until tomorrow midday, I'd like to get some measurements out there because there are a lot of blind spots, dangerous curves. I'll give you all measurements and all spots between Brickyard all the way to Route 31 that might help you case for that resolution.
If you'd like, you can take till Friday morning.
Okay, yeah, I'll get those to you by tomorrow. And just a quick update, because it might be on a lot of people's mind about the Village Green project that's going on. The actual digging of putting in the drainage should wrap up tomorrow. Then they have to get those spots paved back. We're still trying to shore up when the contractor will come in to do the final paving, but it will not be until sometime middle to end of August probably. But I have stressed the importance of that being in school, that needs to be done before school. So I thank everybody for their patience. There's been relatively few gestures passed around, should I say, and everybody's been very decent about it. It has been a big inconvenience for everybody, but know that the smoother, better draining road is on its way.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you. And you guys being out there in this extreme heat deserve some credit for doing that as well. So.
Yep, they were, luckily they were able to get in there, get vehicles and move them around, but they've stayed when they needed to stay. They worked the past 2 Fridays. They've done whatever's needed to make sure it gets done.
And that project was grant money that Assemblyman Magnorelli gave to the town, I think 2 years ago. So, and it has to be done by the end of this summer. So, that's a project, as you told the Assemblyman, would have taken the town 5 or so years to complete.
Yeah, it's well outside of our realm of staying the budget on.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Doug?
No, that's it.
Okay, I have no comments. Citizens' comments? Okay, please.
Comments about the water chestnuts.
Okay, your name, please?
I'm Cindy Lewis.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Cindy, didn't you and I speak?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I have contacted, what I'm looking for is some support on getting more funds for our areas, because right now, I have some pictures that I took. If you're interested in seeing them, do you want to see them or you don't care?
No, you can give them to us, and what I can do is send them to both Senator Mannion, because he also got us $100,000 extra.
Right,
and
you were
to
telling me that, yes.
Assemblyman Magnarelli, and see if next year they can get the state to put some more funding in as well.
Right. You were mentioning the $100,000 and the $100,000 to match. And I've written to Senator Mannion, I wrote him this morning again. I know we're not going to get any help this year, but I'm looking for help for next year even. And I know you have texted me. I don't know who Scott is. He must be related to you.
Oh, you're in Harbor Heights?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm coming to do it next year. What are you talking about?
Well, let me tell you how hard it is for us this year, because it's a mat, and it's 11 homes, and these 11 homes are assessed for their land alone at $70,000. Now, we had the state coming through, did not notify us that they were not going to come again to not take care of them. So 1 year went by, we're waiting for the state, no state. So now we find out that Senator Mannion has this money, and all of us in our heads said, oh great, they're going to take care of it again. Well, guess what? They're not going to take care of it again. So that $100,000, is that going to go to our area next year? Or is it going to go back up to Cross Lake again next year? I'm just trying to find some help.
The money goes, in the budget, the money was dedicated to go to the county to help fund the 5-year plan. So when I talked to Senator back in January, after his, it was a Zoom call, and I asked him to put more money in, see if he could secure money because of the problem around here. And I have no problem contacting him again and seeing if he can get at least $100,000, if not more, because I did tell him.
$200,000?
Whatever he can get, yeah.
The county? Because every person that I've called has been very kind, but has done zero for us. Very kind, but zero. And I'm looking for some help. I mean, if you multiply 70 times 11 homes, that's a lot of money. And where's that money going now? We were paying for that before. Where has that money gone to? Has it gone to the roads? Has it gone to, where's it gone?
The property taxes
Right?
to handle the actual day-to-day operations of both the town, the highway, and on your property statement, your tax bill, it also includes sewer, your lighting district.
I
all
completely
those.
understand all that. What I'm saying is, if they could afford to do it before, why have they yanked that money away? And I know you probably don't know this answer because it's not you, it's the state.
Right.
But I'm just looking for some help. I mean, just like you, I don't even know these people, but it's very, very, I was out there all day today trying to get rid of some of these. And you're not allowed to this, you're not allowed to that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, what do you do? It's almost impossible to rake every one of those in. I showed you pictures of what our home looks like and our neighbors look like. And Scott says, put your big britches out, get out there and take care of them. Well, it's not that easy when you can't stand up out there. You know, and it might be funny to some people, but it's not funny to us.
How long have you lived in that house?
We've been in there for 15 years.
So have you ever pulled them before?
Yes. When we first moved in, they were not spraying. Then all of a sudden, a year or so, the state decided to come in. They started taking care of it, and ever since they've taken care of it, now all of a sudden they're not.
Spraying doesn't nothing.
It helped ours. I have to say, it helped our
It
area.
didn't do anything for us.
It did.
Depending upon when they do the spraying is what I was told, so, you know.
Yeah, and it tends to just kill the top, which, you know,
Yeah,
makes
you
a
just
short
sit there.
term.
And you just sit there and rock.
And then they actually kill what's underneath it because they totally change the
That's not
ecology.
I've talked to Senator Mannion's office, I've talked to Water and Soil. I have spoken with Gary from Harvesting, the CNY Harvesting. There's 2 people, and there's nobody available to do it for us. We couldn't even pay somebody if we wanted to right now.
I do think they haven't gotten to that section of the river yet, so I don't want to say that it's going to make a huge impact this year, but that's why they put the 5-year plan in place.
They don't intend on doing that, our area of the river, because piggybacking on Cindy, I called the county, I called soil, water and soil, And I've called the mayor's office and I was told, well, get your neighbors together, get out there, we don't plan on doing, they said it was cut from the budget 2 years ago, they had $200,000. And I said, well, since you've done the Cross Lake area, you know, maybe this time do down near our area, like Cooper's area and near Harbor Heights, and then, hit different areas and rotate, and they don't have any plans on doing our area. And again, piggybacking off of Cindy, I mean, I don't expect the taxpayers to pay for it, but I am paying additional tax because I have waterfront. And getting our boat in and out, it takes a lot for the boat to get through the carpet of it all. Because we're pulling, but it's heavy. And I mean, by the time you get through and you get in the water, then you have to go and you gotta shut the engine off, you gotta try to get it all off the motor. So sooner or later, we're gonna blow our motor. And then, so when we pull back in, we're trying to get rid of what was there. And again, I also told Cindy, we'd be happy to have the harvester come and give us a boat to do it. I mean, and catch us up, and then next year we know they're not gonna be there, and we'll get right out there in May and start whatever. But you can't even get a harvester. So we're paying waterfront taxes. I could have lived across the street and made friends with someone waterfront and use their dock. I mean, that's all we're asking for is some support from you so that we can get some support from Manion's office for that $100,000 for the county. We need some help here.
Well, I'll relay your concerns to Soil and Water and have a conversation with Travis in the Office of Environment. I was not under the impression that they were not going to hit that area.
I was just told they were going to be hitting 6 areas this summer. So.
And they didn't do
And
it
if
last
you
year.
see the Belgium Bridge area, if you're going over 31, you can see the impact because they've done that a couple times the last couple of years with the limited resources. But you can already see that that's back further than the area west of, I guess, the Baldwinsville Bridge or the, block. So, I mean, that part is, the pictures speak for themselves. I mean, it's not good. And
To be
that's,
honest, a 5-year plan is only beginning. Each plan has a 12-year impact on the water.
yes, it does.
So depending on when you get it out of there, if you wait till it drops the seeds,
Yep.
those seeds are there for 12 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
I think the best idea I've heard today is, the gentleman on my right here, that said we need to get the towns together and apply a little pressure.
I know
think that
Lysander.
when it was on the responsibility of the state, there was definitely more funding. Obviously, it's a bigger pot that we're pulling from, and you did see them come out every single year and spray and harvest, but since they transferred it over to the county, there's not a lot of money for that kind of stuff, so I think that's why you're not seeing them come as regularly as they did prior to. But like you said, when they come every year and hit that area, it really can knock it right down and maintain the growth, but I don't know, I mean, we definitely will support that.
I will
cost for sure.
contact both Elbridge and Lysander so that the supervisors from all 3 areas, if I can get more people to sign on to that and get that information to Senator Mannion and Assemblyman Magnarelli. The town has no problem in supporting that.
We very much appreciate that effort.
thank you.
Okay. Any other citizens' comments? Okay.
Yes.
Your name, please?
Sean Stewart.
Okay.
We've attended a lot of board meetings lately, and we didn't happen to be at the one where we elected a new board member. So I had a couple questions just for Jenny. So we wanted to find out who Jenny was. We went on LinkedIn, see your profile, found out you work for Zamir Equities.
Yeah.
We also remembered your face from plenty of meetings sitting with Mary Kriegel, and I just wanted to find out if there's any potential conflicts of interest with your real estate background and any of the real estate deals that are going on with the town.
So I work for a commercial real estate company. So I have managed 2 commercial properties downtown in the city of Syracuse. Has nothing to do with any town business whatsoever. We lease up our building to commercial office spaces. Everything is Class A. There is no residential. Has nothing to do with the town of Van Buren or any of the towns. We don't even, deal with having, we don't even have, we have state agent offices, but we don't have city or local offices that we interact with at this time. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Oh.
Do you want to ask what your connection with Mary Kriego is?
Mary Kriego is a friend of mine. I met her a couple years ago because I got involved in coming to these meetings and coming to the Republican Committee meetings.
So do you not see that as a conflict of interest, considering that when the board has to vote on this proposed subdivision happening, that you are part of the majority vote?
Jenny, can you be fair and reasonable in making a decision?
Of course. I haven't even made a decision or thought of anything more about the Kriego Farms and where I go to the planning board meetings and soak in everything that has been being said, but nothing is swaying my decisions. I don't listen to anybody
My perception,
else.
because every meeting that I've been at, you've been sitting with Mary taking notes. And then when you were appointed, not elected to this position, it just didn't seem like it added up, considering there are 7 members on the board, and even though you say you're going to be partial,
Impartial.
it is impartial, whatever, it is a conflict of interest, I think.
Well, just because she would be sitting next to somebody in the audience doesn't mean that they have the exact same opinion, you know, so if...
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead. Would you be willing to recruit yourself?
On what grounds?
I really don't think that I think that there's a real misconception here. I've known the Kriego family my entire life. I don't think that changes whether or not I can make a decision as a town board member here. I just think this is very out of bounds for anyone to ask someone to recuse themselves from a decision we're not even being asked to make.
Everyone on this board has a relationship with Mary Kriego, and it doesn't mean that we're gonna vote whatever way Mary Kriego wants. We've been elected to do something that's in the best interest of our town residents, not what's in the best interest of Mary Kriego.
I have known every single one of those people sitting up here.
Absolutely.
A lot longer than I have known. That's true, but they're not real estate people.
But,
And I'm saying.
wait a minute. Hold on, please. Hold on, please.
There's too much side
Yeah,
talking.
hold on.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Nadine, can I have you want to make a comment too?
I would just like to clarify. I would just like to clarify, though, what a conflict of interest is. The difficulty is, in any small town, you have people who know each other. That's what living in small town USA is. You always are going to have people who know, who are associated in some capacity. But conflicts of interest, legally, under your general municipal law, Article 18, and then also in our own town code, conflicts of interest are very specifically identified and defined. And what is being discussed here this evening of knowing somebody, or whether it's a friendship, whether it's a mere acquaintance, whether it's, unless that person has something to gain, some benefit to be realized, that's not a conflict of interest legally.
Okay, so if your company ended up with some part of this whole deal, then.
That would be a different situation, potentially, because the other question would be, I mean, and there's a lot of layers to the onion, okay? But, and I'm sorry, Jenny, I don't even remember the name of the company you just referenced.
Equities, and
but
let me
if-
just explain to
Well,
you.
hold on a second though. Even if the company, which is a commercial real estate company, even if for some reason they ventured into residential development, which doesn't, it doesn't make sense within the context of what we have, but even if they were to do that, what the conflict of interest would have to show is that somehow Ms. Sullivan is benefiting from that either she's involved in it, that she stands to make a profit, she's going to get a bonus, she's going to in some way be enriched by that. You know, even if it's a kudos at the company, right? That could potentially, you have to kind of look at the circumstances, because there's some companies that are huge, right? And I'm embarrassed to say I really don't know anything about your company. But they always take it on a case-by-case analysis and case-by-case basis. So under the circumstances that are presented, to just unilaterally say, you live in a small town and you know somebody, so therefore there's a conflict, the law doesn't look like that. Just because so much of our, look at the constituency and look at how our state is, or our country. It would be very, very difficult to find, you've heard of 6 degrees of separation. In most small town USA, I would submit to you, we are way under 6 degrees of separation. And it would be very easy to make the argument that anybody needs to recuse themselves on simply knowing an applicant. So I think.
Well, I'm not concerned about knowing an applicant, I'm concerned about the.
A benefit to be realized. I understand that. But I wouldn't think it's appropriate to try to have somebody who was just appointed. And to be clear, the appointment is because the seat was vacant. And so.
She knows.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
She's doing the court, but.
So I'm sorry, but the appointment is only because the seat was vacant. Ms. Sullivan is still going to have to run for election this coming year. So it's a temporary appointment to fill a vacant seat. There was much discussion, as those of you who have been sitting at these meetings know, that it was to make sure that there was representation for your constituents. Sorry, I will be back.
So let me just explain what my company does. My company is based out of New York City, and we buy commercial properties and we manage the commercial properties. We don't develop, we don't do anything with residential. We got out of retail because we have retail property in Texas, and it just didn't sit well with our envelope and our criteria of how we wanted to roll out our company. So we don't do anything with developers. We do office tenant fit-ups in our buildings, which is renovating a space so that an office building an office can come in and utilize space and lease space, but we do not do anything with residential real estate developers.
Mary, you wanted to make a comment?
No, I was just saying that I have known every single one of you a lot longer than I know Jennifer. I met her just when she joined the committee and wanted to run for this, be appointed to that. And I don't feel I've done anything, or any of you are going to have any more benefit from the development of our property than Jennifer is.
But let me just make one thing clear. This development is not a done deal. It has not come before the town board. It is still with the planning board. It has to go through multiple layers of review. So before anything would even come to this town board, it probably has multiple meetings that it has to go through. Then the planning board has to review it. It's got to have engineering, environmental review still. So I think everybody's kind of jumping the gun a little bit here that we can't impartially make a decision based on what is best for the town. So I would just ask you to hold on a little bit, go through, let the planning board do their duty, and then they will at some point make a recommendation back to this board, and at that point the board will take a look at a decision.
We also will have public hearings.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
nothing will get done until everyone can come to the public hearing and voice their concerns. I don't know why everyone seems to think that this is a done deal. We are months and months away from that happening. I don't know how many times we can tell you, Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, it's not a done deal.
But I also would reiterate that we don't have to do anything, and up to 100 homes could be put there tomorrow.
We've heard from people on the planning board that it's a done deal.
No,
That is true. That is absolutely true.
That is not.
That is absolutely true.
You have manipulated what people have said to you, and unfortunately, between that and the accusations you have hurled at this board and all of its predecessors, it is really unfortunate that you don't seem to want to come here and work with us. Like, you have done nothing but accuse us of underhanded actions, and I don't understand why. You don't even know me.
I have not accused you of
Yes,
anything.
you have.
You accused everybody of corruption.
That has been said. It has been said directly to me.
Corruption is a very strong word.
And defamation.
Yes, it definitely is.
And defamation of character for anybody in the prior administration and this administration. But again, I don't know who said to you that this is a done deal.
Claude Sykes.
Claude never said this was a done
Claude,
deal.
I will
In his
swear
office,
under
when he was
oath.
town supervisor.
Well,
Yes,
then I
when
would
he
call
was town
Claude in
supervisor.
at the next meeting and
Please
have
do.
him, in public, make a statement as
So
to
in
whether or not.
February of 2021, when this broke, I went into the office when Claude was town supervisor. I presented him with the survey of the land that was completed in 1997. I put it down on his desk and I said, Claude, what about this? Like, how can you move forward? How can the planning board even accept this? And he said, that doesn't mean anything. You know, this is a done deal, that won't do anything. And I said, what about the bill that's coming up? He goes, that doesn't mean anything, that'll be on the governor's desk for 5 years. That is untrue. That bill will be voted on by December 31st of this year, 2022. If the governor does not vote yes on that bill, then the bill is dead. But there's a very good likelihood that she will.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
separate matter. I will have Claude here
Please,
because
do.
you're saying that he absolutely
Yes, he did.
verified. And the thing is, he can't verify it because he is one vote on a board. This board has now 7 members, and it takes 4 people to vote in favor of anything before it's approved. So he can say, you know, oh, I absolutely approve this. It doesn't matter. He's one vote and only one vote.
And I'll point out that he's no longer on the board, so he has 0 vote.
Because they only make a recommendation to
They make
us,
a
though.
recommendation to this board, we have
Right, so the
final.
planning board doesn't make the recommendation. If they stop it at the planning board, then it never comes to any of you at all. There's no- Exactly. So he.
There are 6 people,
Right, so it
7
has to
people on
go
the
through the
planet.
planning board first. The planning board has to decide, yes, we think this is a good thing for our community. Let's push it on to the town board. The town board makes a decision. But if the planning board says, no, I don't like what has been proposed to us, we don't think this is a good idea for our village, or our community, or our schools, or our roads, or our traffic, they can stop it right there. It will never even come to you.
That's
But
not true.
I don't believe that that's going to be the case.
Well, you have 7 people on the planning board. Again, it's going to take 4 people to vote in favor to make any recommendation to come to the town board for a vote. And again, there would be another public hearing. But I don't know how to say this any clearer. This is not a done deal. From the planning board perspective, and nothing has come to the town board, it is not a done deal. So.
No, it is absolutely not. It is not a done deal at all. But people on the board shouldn't be saying that it is. You know, that's
But nobody on this board is saying
on the
that.
planning board, on the planning board, on the first, basically the first line of defense, the first group of people that have to say yes before it comes to you. And we have a former town supervisor who has used those exact words to me and basically looked at an archaeological survey of over 200 pages where that property was nominated for the National Historic Registry based on archaeology and told me this means nothing.
But who owns that property? Who? The Kriegos.
Right.
Okay? At this point, there is an agreement in principle, and no agreement will be signed until this whole thing goes through the entire process that it has to have. So, you know, I don't know what else to say. I will bring Claude Sykes in. He can make a statement here at the meeting the next meeting on August 3rd, I think it is. And he can make his statement and either confirm or refute what you are saying.
Perfect.
And he can also say whether he can be impartial in the decision as his role on the planning board. That's the best that we can do.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any other citizens' comments?
Just one.
Yes, sir.
How many people are on the planning board?
7. Anything else?
Can I ask one question?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of reference to the Seneca Knowles Diner. These 2 fellows just bought it, taking it over. In their question, they put cones out there to keep people from parking in the corner.
Right.
But has anybody looked into the situation of the road itself? There's a white line there. You can be waiting on the other side of the white line. People make a left turn through the parking lot. I've had it happen to me, and I've seen it happen twice since I've been here, since they opened up.
So they're turning right from Jones Road onto 48. And they
Coming off
cut
of
through,
48,
and they cut across to get onto
cut
Jones
across the
Road?
parking lot on the south side of the white line.
Okay. I
That
will,
happened to me twice. Is that state controlled or is that town?
48 is a state road, Jones Road is a county road. So I guess I can ask the codes officer to take a look at it, but the cones are to prevent people from parking there, and they are working to get a more permanent situation to keep that inaccessible.
What about a guardrail?
On that's on private property. I don't know.
If it's private property, then they got a right to park there.
No, they weren't given the right to use those spaces when they were given the building, or the building business permit.
There was a site plan approved last year for that. There's a site plan approved for that corner there.
Have you ever seen that happen?
No, I have not seen that.
On the north side of the
Yeah, I can see it happening, but I have not seen it. The codes office will have a copy of that plan, come see what's proposed for that site.
I will talk to codes tomorrow.
Nothing they can do then.
Well, they're going to have to work with the county and the state.
Who's in charge of the cones? You or the county?
Well, we told them to put the cones in as part of their site plan to prevent parking there.
If they want to use those two spots that they've always used to prove that somebody's there working, the place is open.
Right.
You go by there and it looks like they're closed.
Right, but they're not allowed to use those spots, and that's why the cones are there.
That don't make sense to me. I think I'd argue that.
Okay, well, I'll get codes, and, if they have to get with the county and the state to figure
But
something
there
out.
should be something, when you're waiting there to make a turn, somebody cuts at the inside of it.
Okay. All right, any other comments? Andy?
Yeah, if I might, concerning the Kriegel property, it's a long process. And we're way out in front. And the developer doesn't even have specific hard proposals yet. And there's so many unknowns that the developer has not even given the information yet. And that makes it very difficult for the whole community to understand what might happen or what might not happen. This can take a long time and ultimately could be told by the developer at any given time due to the process. It's got to go through county and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of people interested in what happens with the property that are impacted by this, the neighborhoods and the town. It's a relatively large project for the town, so there's a lot of considerations there. And I think communications are key between the folks in the town and both boards. There was some confusion with the planning board last week where the Kriegel farm was on the agenda, but no citizens' comments were accepted. And that's their prerogative at that point in time. But those kinds of things don't lend themselves to be supported by the community members who may feel snubbed at that point in time.
Andy, let me just interject. That wasn't a public meeting.
Right,
And
but it was on the agenda, and there was confusions around that. A lot of people thought.
Rolex did not show.
Oh, I understand, I was there. Right, and I'm not casting aspersions, I'm just saying it was unclear, and people felt that they might have an opportunity to speak, and it was taken away, and that does not make people feel all that welcome for communications. So, for instance, I went to the school board meeting, Ballsville School Board meeting after their last elections, just to see what's up, because there's a lot of stuff with elections and et cetera. And that was a remarkably different approach to citizens' comments. You had to have them in writing, you had to sign in, and you had to submit them in writing to the board. You were allowed to speak to the school board. They didn't even have to respond to you at that point in time. It was extremely well-regulated commentary. And I think there's an opportunity to look at that as a structure that perhaps it might be implemented both at the planning board level and this board level for communications, because that helps get everything back under control, because I think it'll just help the flow. And I might also ask you to consider a citizens committee be formed for the property, either with both boards or some kind of structure to communicate a little better with the community, because right now, as you say, it's not a done deal. We are so far out in the ether, it's not even fair to talk about some of that stuff, because he could pull it in a heartbeat. The economy looks like it might even go to crap. The housing sales are going down. You know, he might not sell a lot in 5 years. You know, even where he's building now. So I mean, it could go really, really slow. So I think if the two boards can come up with a way to get better communications smoothed out, I think that would be helpful.
One other thing, just, I know the planning board will have a informational meeting when the developer brings stuff up, so that everybody can be informed as to what the latest plan is, what the developer wants to do. And I will say that the developer hasn't gotten back to the planning board in the timely manner as they expected, but there will be public hearings, there will be just regular informational meetings before you even get to the stage where there would be a public hearing in the process. So to say that there is a structure as to how it goes. And at the planning board meeting, it's to hear from the applicant to the board and make comments back and forth. It's not generally an open meeting for people to make comments. That is up to the planning board chair to determine. But yes, I can certainly pass that along to the planning board. But again, here, nothing would come here. It would have to have notification of a public hearing. Everyone would have an opportunity to speak. And then, you know, then the board would take an action after everything has gone through.
Mary Frances, just for your knowledge, since you weren't here at the last meeting, Jenny Howard and I attended the planning board meeting.
Yes, I got you. Thank you.
I requested of the chair that he update the town's website, because the maps and some other information were from 2021. And they were going to update the town's webpage, so we could offer our residents who do have questions with the latest site plan and proposal. And if anyone had any questions, you know, give them the information, contact information of who they could reach out to. Okay. So they are going to do a better job at putting stuff on the town webpage.
And again, that can change from week to week. Well, they don't move that fast, but there are, I think there's already in the third iteration of what they had originally planned. When I was on the Traybrook Plan Unit Development Committee, I think we had 8 meetings just on where they wanted to do things, what the easements, what the size of the properties, what they wanted. You know, this doesn't happen overnight. So, but we will make sure that whatever map is current does get up to the website, and the contact for whoever for the planning board. Okay?
My name is Tom Shaw, and just to clarify what this gentleman just said, it would be to the board's advantage and to the town board as well as the planning board to have a committee formed of the people so that they're not waiting for a one-time or two-time visit that they might or may not be able to say what they want to say. And to your advantage, if you were to hear what other people's comments are, why they're saying what they're saying, and understand that in your process to formulate whether or not you're going to go ahead or disapprove the zone change. Mm-hmm. The zone change is all that I see that's occurring now. Yet, and sitting in on the planning board meetings, the questions that they're asking Rolex are questions that you would ask of a developer, how you're going to do, what you're going to put in there. all they need to know is that they want smaller lots and they want apartments. And to do this, you have to have a PUD, not a residential zone change. So I could see the zone change voting coming very rapidly.
No, it doesn't work that way. The whole, Nathan, why don't you go through?
Just by way of clarification, a PUD, because it's a planned development, that zone change is linked to the actual plan. So as opposed to, for example, if I own a piece of property that's zoned commercial and I want it to change to industrial, that's just a general zoning designation. And the town board can go through that process relatively quickly. I absolutely agree with you. It's still a local law, you still have a public hearing and you still go through the procedure. But a PUD is very specific as to what the proposal is. So that's why the planning board is giving it's such a thorough review, because how that property is zoned as PUD depends upon what the proposal is. It's different. From a legal perspective, PUD and just zoning designation in general, local business, general business, R40, R80, different. They're different legal concepts.
So you're saying that why even have a PUD change?
You can't.
Because there's not a PUD currently. It's not changing a PUD, it's creating a PUD.
Well, I guess maybe you're saying it's more intensive. The town gets to look at it a little deeper because of the PUD, because of all the variables, versus just an R40, let's say. There's a lot more questions that the town gets to have the interaction on in the PUD than an R40 or an R10 or any of the other ones, which are simpler and straightforward. But the PUD has so many variables, there's a lot of stuff for them to look into.
Essentially, you're correct, yes.
And wouldn't it be more advantageous for the town board and the planning board, zoning board, to get the people's comments all through the whole process, not just on one night when it's open to the public? So the suggestion that this gentleman had with regards to a committee who would sit down with, to talk specifically on this subject. I granted it's going to take much more time on your part, and that's a little bit far between, but...
Well, it doesn't come to this board until it's through the planning board and they have a design that they think would be okay for the town, and that specific layout of that property, that's when it comes to the town board for review. So everything happens through the planning board first. And as I said, they intend to have informational meetings where people can make comments. They will also have public hearings. So, I mean, there are citizens, opportunities for the citizens to voice their opinions.
And I think your question wouldn't it be more advantageous both to you as the town board and to the public and to the zoning board if everybody were involved in it, if everybody understood the process, if everybody had questions or comments or whys or why nots?
I certainly encourage anyone
instead of creating a negative atmosphere, so to speak, if you had better communication, I guess is what I'm saying, between everybody involved. When the planning board, the planning zoning board comes to you and they say, okay, we're going to approve this.
They don't approve it. They make a recommendation to the town board.
They make a recommendation to you. And you're saying to yourself, well, that was their job. They looked at everything, and if they feel it's all right, then it's all right with...
Nadine, can you verify, because the planning board has its certain responsibilities under town law, and the town board has separate responsibilities?
So because this will ultimately be a local law, which is a legislative act, the only entity that has that jurisdiction is the town board. So there will be a public hearing on that, absolutely. No different than every other local law. The chairman already acknowledged at the last meeting that I know a number of you were at, that they intend to have a public comment meeting prior to the public hearing meeting to get feedback. But you may recall that the chairman also made the comment that they wanted to receive the information from the applicant and have a proposal. Right now, again, for those of you who've been at the meetings, there's a lot of information that they've requested that the applicant provide. Traffic studies, information on the impact of the legislation that was proposed, and I'm not sure if the governor actually signed it. I didn't follow up on that level yet. But what a new long or full EAF, there's a lot of things that need to be provided. And what the chairman had indicated is we need that information because right now that could so drastically change what is currently a proposal in its elementary stages, that to have specific comment from the public, quite frankly, is a waste of your time. For any of you who are residents that have a vested interest, who would have the ability to ever challenge something, for you to go out right now and hire an engineer and pick apart that plot and say, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, you could be just burning bills because that may not look anything like what the ultimate product is. But when the planning board gets the information back that they need for this review, and then they have a viable plan, right? And they have their public comment on it. And that's a great opportunity to get, you've been making comments. There's been information submitted in a written form. There's been oral representations. The town hears them. There's no reason that people can't continue to submit anything in writing to the town. There's no reason that can't be received.
Or to the planning board.
I'm in town in general. I wasn't, sorry.
Clarity.
Yes, thank you. But to the planning board, absolutely. Submit stuff in writing. I'm sorry?
CC both boards.
Yeah.
If you have something that you want to share or think that is important to us, write it and CC both boards.
So once though that information, so for example, the traffic study, that traffic study may come back and may completely change that ingress and egress into that development. It may change what not only the ingress and egress, it may change what improvements, if any, are needed on downstream. I mean, it may have some real significant impacts. So how that plan looks, for everyone to sit there and pick apart, I mean, I've done my fair share of ripping apart somebody's design before on behalf of clients. And to sit and rip apart something and have clients pay a lot of money for me to do it and then say, oh, guess what, that's not going to be even close to the plan. It's a waste of time.
Doesn't make any sense for comments at this point.
But to get your comments, and the planning board is listening to them, and hopefully with the level of review that they are preparing, and they are purposely,
Can we have one conversation, please? Can we have one, Nadine, please?
So part of why the chairman has put this on the agenda the last couple times, if nothing more for just board discussion, is to make sure that any and all residents who are concerned, who want to know what's going on, don't think that it's happening in a vacuum or behind closed doors, so that they can see what the deliberations are. Because quite frankly, it's not uncommon when there are large-scale subdivisions for municipalities to say, okay, we're going to have a number of pre-agenda meetings or pre-development meetings or conceptual meetings, different municipalities call them different things, where they meet with the developer and they kind of hash out what they're doing, right? What is it that you want? Here's our feedback. Town and DeWitt is a perfect example for this. They have meetings on Tuesdays, twice a month, before their planning board meetings, where they meet with the applicant. Is the public invited? Yeah, but it's at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. I'm not sure how many people are showing, or 7:30 on a Tuesday. So when the planning board actually goes to a meeting, like at 7 o'clock at night in the town hall, most of the details have been hashed out at those work session meetings at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So the chairman has specifically said, I don't want to have the meetings like that. I want them to be where the public sees us in our deliberation, where the public sees how we're making, what the comments are, what our concerns are, and what requests we're making of the developer, so that you know what's going on. So that later on nobody says, well, this all took place and now we're just having this presented to us in a final form, like it or lump it, and we don't have a lot of time to look at it. So the public comment period that the chairman referenced is not something that's legally required. That's the chair and the planning board making an effort to make sure that before what is presented at a public hearing goes through this citizen vetting process, if you will. And then even at the public hearing, even when you have the public hearing, that does not mean, oh, we've got something done, give us your comments. We're really not going to listen to them, but we're just going to go forward. No, not at all. That's the opportunity, a second opportunity, if you will, for the public to say, okay, we've been hashing this out and we still have these concerns. We still don't think that X, Y, or Z is adequately addressed, and we think that this needs further attention or to be changed or whatever. So this is not a process that just because it's a local law can happen quickly. Because of the PUD, it is an involved process. And even just requiring a new revised, I guess is the better term, full EAF, they're not even in the position to complete seeker before moving forward with these other items. And here's right, at this point, to sum it up, this is not going to happen overnight. There is opportunity for public comment the whole way through. So at this point, we're going to move on to get to the rest of the agenda. So, all right, engineers' comments?
I've done my comments, so I have no additional.
Okay, Nadine, anything else?
I think I've said enough.
Yeah. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn to the regular board meeting on August 3rd at 7 p.m., please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you for coming.